This is the Revolt TV interview regarding the Stephenson brothers. The two American brothers that are currently being held in an Ecuadorian prison for a murder of two young men, solely because their bodies were found on their 125-acre property. Please watch and share this video. We need your assistance.
You're watching dcbornrob, erasing borders. And now, the news.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. On behalf of DC Rob and the Stephenson brothers, please watch and share this video. We need your help in contacting the brothers' representatives. Our first ask will be to have the representatives state out loud the Stephenson brothers' names along with a brief statement on the floor of both the Senate and House. Thanks for your support. Now, to the video.
Welcome to Revolt Black News Weekly. I'm your host, Ebony K. Williams. Black beyond the borders. From James Baldwin in Paris to Maya Angelou in Ghana, Black Americans have long journeyed for a better life across the world. But when leaving the States, not all experiences abroad yield safe and secure treatment. In 2014, John Stephenson left America for his ecotourism dream in Palora, Ecuador. And as those plans became a reality, his older brother, Ronell, joined by his side. But within 3 years, an American dream for two brothers with booming success in a foreign land turned into an Ecuadorian nightmare. Their revolution to gain justice and freedom is tonight's prime story.
What I learned from this experience is being a Black man, the first question anyone asks me that's Ecuadorian is, where are you from? And I'll say, I'm American. And their response will be like, no, you must be Haitian. There's already a stigma being a Black man traveling.
From Ivy League to incarceration, John, with his brother Ronell at his side, spoke to us about what they say is a wrongful conviction and a 34-year sentence that started with a tainted arrest.
Around 4 or 5 in the morning, our door gets bust in. One set of gentlemen in ski masks with large guns yelling, everybody get on the floor, get on the floor, get on the floor. The prosecutor says, you know why I'm here, you know why I'm here. Tell me why I'm here. I said, I do not understand why you are here on my property. I haven't even seen a warrant. We see 50 or 60 indigenous Shuar that are from the Tawasip community roaming throughout our property, when we later come to find out that they were on the property since 3 in the morning, 2 hours prior to the police arriving to serve the warrant. One of the members of the Tawasip community comes and punches me in the face.
2 dead bodies were buried on the Stephensons' 125-acre property, which they believe members of the indigenous Shuar tribe nefariously planted. But why? The Stephenson brothers not only see their American nationalities as lawful impositions, but their Blackness as overall obstructions.
When we testify on the stand in front of the judges' own words is, what is 2 Black Americans doing here in Ecuador?
Don't forget, the brothers' representatives' contact information is in the description of this video. Please contact them on behalf of the brothers. We need your help.
I think I visited at least 6 or 7 indigenous communities. When they had festivals, they would invite us. It was a friendly atmosphere. When we would leave, certain people from the community would come back and say to us like, hey, people are leery of your presence. What is a young Black man doing here? How does he have the capability to own this type of property?
At the very beginning, the case was handed around to several different prosecutors. At the onset, that's a red flag to me.
Attorney Jason POBLETE is president of Global Liberty Alliance, an organization committed to combating violations of fundamental rights throughout the world. He's helped Americans out of Iran and Cuba, and he feels what happened with rapper A$AP Rocky in the summer of 2019 needs to happen with the Stephenson brothers.
During the Trump administration, A$AP Rocky had been arrested in Sweden, and President Trump dispatched the special presidential envoy to Sweden. If we're going to do it for A$AP Rocky in Sweden, how can we not do it for John and Ronell, who are in Ecuador, in our own hemisphere, in a place that's a lot more dangerous.
But time is of the essence. First, because of a backlog court docket.
According to Ecuadorian counsel, we're supposed to be given some guidance from the court, at least a decision by the which level of government will take this over. And hopefully we'll have a favorable decision on the petition to revise the sentence, and then allow us to get in there and to argue all the technical issues that were not argued at trial.
Which they claim, if proved timely, DNA evidence would fully exonerate them. But more imminently of concern are the Stephenson brothers' safety in prison.
But last month, 100 people were killed in Ecuadorian prisons. 10 of those people were reportedly beheaded. They had a cellmate recently that had an AK-47, and the cops don't do anything.
While the prison system in this country is atrocious, the most important thing is that Americans are aware of our situation.
And with that, we bring in our panel. Joining us is Ronell and John Stephenson's father, Robert Stephenson, investigative YouTuber who's extensively reported on the Stephenson brothers' story, Rob Christian. Welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, Rob, you've reported a lot on the Stephenson brothers' story, as well as various other stories abroad. So when Black folks actually cross the borders of this country, would you say they're safer before or after they leave?
I'd actually say after we leave. I'd say we're safer living abroad. I actually lived in Medellin, Colombia for about 3 months. In the first 2 weeks, I heard gunshots. I still felt safer than I do in the U.S. Now, I think it's an issue of learning the culture, learning the language, and blending in. And I think with the Stephenson brothers, I think the issue that they had was an anomaly, an issue of a family or the head of a family or clan who is either attempting a land grab or a money grab, something like that. But I would honestly say I felt safer and I feel safer when I leave the U.S.
Thank you, Rob. Mr. Stephenson, what role, if any, do you think that just being Black Americans had for your sons versus their American identification? How much of their incarceration do you think is because they're Black?
Between 70 and 75% because they're Black. I think the rest is about money. Every high power attorney and even a couple of the ex-judges in Ecuador, they said the only reason your sons are in the predicament, first, they're Black, and two, because they're Americans.
Wow, actually said the words. Now, Mr. Stephenson, you were with your sons in Ecuador about a week prior to their arrest. Now, had you not flown back exactly when you did, your sons believe that you very well could be incarcerated with them in this moment. What is your reaction to that?
To be honest with you, it would have been myself and my wife would have been incarcerated. And, you know, my wife is a FAA official, and that would have been an awful, awful mess if that had happened. And we had gone down there to help my sons in the expansion they were doing on the farm because they had not so long before gotten an agreement with Tabasco Pepper Company to plant 20,000 peppers on the farm.
Wow.
And my sons were recruiting more employees to expand on the pigs that they were going to raise and the chickens that they were raising, along with all the vegetables they were planting.
Yeah, what I hear you saying, Mr. Stephenson, is that your sons weren't just inhabitants of this country. They were doing extremely well financially, very savvy businessmen. Do you think that success had a lot to do with their arrest?
The farm had turned around from when we got it to something that looked like a little city. Okay, they had wide roads through the farm. It was street lights on the farm. John set up a bar or a nightclub on the farm. He literally stole a lot of customers away from businesses in the town. After he got there, he started to do bodybuilding and then into bodybuilding contests and won Mr. Ecuador twice. And then the rumor was going around that he might run for mayor of the town. And the head of the Samorando had been trying to run for mayor for at least 4 or 5 times prior and didn't get through.
How are you feeling right now emotionally, Mr. Stephenson? Are you able to have any communication with your sons? And how are you and your wife doing?
You know, I think after 4 years of going through this ordeal, we have come to be a lot more settled and accommodating with some of the situation as it is. What is so troubling is that there were so many people who really liked John and appreciated John for what he was. And I saw certain key signs that he didn't see. And he said, when I go into town, some little business owner will say to me, John, I haven't seen you in a while. Were you locked up? And he would say, why would I be locked up? I don't do anything. And I would say, you know, an old colloquial term, if a blind man says he's going to pelt you with a stone, he already has a stone in his hand. He can't go looking for a stone. And he would say, Dad, they can't do anything to me because I'm not doing anything. And I said, well, we can see, because if people want you, they'll find a way to get you.
Robert, let me ask you, in your reporting, any help for these Stephenson brothers from America?
That hits a nerve for me. To be honest with you, that's where the U.S. is really lacking. This should have been a mainstream story 3-4 years ago. And to be honest with you, I'm not seeing where the wheels are actually turning the way that they should be turning right now.
How much of a role do you think the blackness of the Stephenson brothers plays into that? Do you think they would be dealt with differently if they were white people imprisoned abroad?
I report a lot on Colombia, and I look at case after case after case where, you know, missing person, or missing girl, or missing guy. And if I look at the pictures, I mean, what conclusion can I draw other than it's the fact that they are black, that they are not, that the representatives are not moving faster and harder, and as they should.
Mr. Stephenson, I want to ask you before we go, for those that do want to bring more mainstream attention to the case of your sons and want to make sure that this is handled with the appropriateness that it should, what can people do? What would be your ask of the diaspora who wants to make sure that your sons get the justice that they do deserve?
More pressure should be brought to bear on the State Department. More pressure should be brought on the embassies. People can try to reach out to their own representative. They can also ask to have bills. America contributes a lot of money in terms of grants to Ecuador. They can hold their funds and say, all we are asking you to do is to apply justice.
Well, listen, Mr. Stephenson, know that we are praying for you and justice for your sons. Rob Christian, brother, we appreciate your time and expertise very, very much.